everybody. This is Marshall, and welcome to the Owning Leadership Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about leadership in the quiet season. To do this, let's start with a question. Have you ever started a new project, or came up with a great idea, and had a clear vision for what you're going to do? And at first, you're all fired up. You know this is going to work. And then a few weeks later, it gets quiet. No momentum, no big wins, no visible progress, and no applause. Just the work. A full calendar, a daily routine. You show up again and again, and nothing seems to be happening. If this was a garden, you went out and planted the seeds, and nothing has broken the surface. And that's when the question starts creeping in. Is this working? Some people get so uncomfortable that they want to go out and dig up the soil to check the seeds, which, if you've ever gardened, is the fastest way to guarantee it's never going to grow. Some of us would dig it up, replant it, Google it, watch 3 YouTube videos, and then still blame everything on somebody else, or the soil, the weather, or even the shovel. Years ago, a neighbor of mine planted a small fruit tree in the front yard. And for 2 years, nothing changed. It was the same height, same thin trunk, no fruit. And the guy across the street would yell, "Hey, you bought the wrong tree." And my neighbor would just smile and say, "No, it's growing roots." By the 4th year, that tree produced more fruit than any other tree in the block. In fact, I think it had more fruit on the ground under it than all the other trees had on their branches. What looked like delay was development. What looked like nothing was preparation. What was invisible was growth. And here's the leadership principle: roots before results. The problem is we live in a world that celebrates visible success. Launch days, promotion, big announcements. We want to see the overnight success stories, and we love the highlight reels. But real success is not built in the spotlight. It's built out of sight underground. It's in the quiet places where roots grow deep. Nobody applauds early mornings. Nobody cheers disciplined decisions, and nobody hands out trophies for not quitting. But that's where strength is formed. That's where identity is shaped. That's where leaders are made. Roots before results. In the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill describes something powerful: our creative life force energy. And it shows up as desire, drive, creativity, ambition, and influence. And we all have it. But if we don't direct it, it gets spent. It gets spent on distractions, on comfort, on busyness that feels productive but changes nothing. Ever been busy all day and accomplished nothing that mattered? You felt tired but not fulfilled. That's not exhaustion. That's misdirected energy. I once coached a leader who told me, "Marshall, I'm drained every day." And when we looked at his schedule, he wasn't overworked. He was overreactive. He had emails, notification, pings, dings, buzzes. His phone wasn't a communication tool. It was a slot machine. And he kept pulling the handle, hoping for productivity. When he began directing his focus instead of reacting to everything around him, his results doubled. The difference wasn't effort. It was direction. And that's what the quiet season reveals. It shows you where your energy is actually going. You get to find the leaks. Most people think success comes from doing more, but often it comes from redirecting more. The energy used for scrolling, complaining, avoiding hard conversations is the same energy required to build something meaningful. The difference is direction. That's why quiet seasons matter. Because when the noise fades, you begin to see where your energy is going. And leaders respond at this moment differently. They pursue alignment. And alignment means your daily habits match who you say you want to become. If your vision is excellence, but your routines are reactive, you got an energy leak. If your goal is influence, but your focus is scattered, your energy is fragmented. And if your ambition is greatness, but your discipline depends on how you feel that day, then your energy disappears. Quiet seasons help seal those leaks. They help focus your energy. A friend of mine started walking every morning, and at first he filled the time with podcasts and music and books, constant input. And then one day he took the earbuds out. No music, no voices, just footsteps and his breathing. And at first it was uncomfortable and he resisted. He desperately needed the noise, the stimulation. But after a few weeks, something changed. The more consistent he was with limiting the distractions, the more ideas started to surface. Solutions to problems appeared, and his clarity increased. He began writing down the thoughts that he had during these walks. And 6 months later, he told me, Marshall, I didn't change my daily routine. I changed my life because quiet gives your mind space to grow. It's just like those seeds in the soil, but you got to be consistent. But consistency rarely feels powerful in the moment. It feels repetitive. It feels ordinary, sometimes boring because we want the lights, camera, actions. We want harvest season without the growing season. But growth doesn't work that way. Remember, roots before results. And roots grow when you show up when it's quiet. You work when no one's watching. And you refine when no one is applauding. Roots aren't glamorous. We take selfies with the harvest, but nobody takes selfies with the roots. Yet without the roots, nothing rises. So if you're in a quiet season right now, you're not behind. You're building depth. You're strengthening your foundation. You're doing the work that doesn't trend, but transforms. Many people quit when results are invisible. Leaders build there. So let me leave you with this. If this season feels quiet, good. If it feels slow, that's good. If it feels unseen, that's good also. Because quiet seasons don't weaken leaders, they reveal them. Right now, while others are chasing noise, while others are digging up the seeds, you're building roots. And one day, growth will break through the surface. People will say, that happened fast. They'll call it momentum. They might even call it luck, but you're going to know the truth. Your strength was built in silence. Your confidence was built in consistency. Your leadership was built underground, from the inside out and the ground up. So don't rush this season. Nurture it. Guard your energy. Direct your focus. Align your habits. Roots before results. Because roots you build in the dark will determine how high you rise in the light. And that is leadership. Thanks for tuning in today.